This is Roll Coverage. I am your host, Nick. We are going to jump into it. Today is going to be week 2 of the Playoff Parallelogram, and as you can see above, we're going to recap week 2. Talk about week 3 that starts tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. Today is 9/20/2023. Let's jump into it.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Welcome back to Roll Coverage. We're going to jump into it with the week 2 of the Playoff Parallelogram. Now, we've got a little bit of shade thrown our way, considering I did say that the parallelogram was the best way to rank teams. Rank quarterbacks, rank whatever you want. So we had a little bit of shade with this clip here.
Patrick Mahomes remains atop the mountain. There is the best quarterback ranking system for the 2023 season.
And with that said, I love Nick Wright. He's awesome. But the pyramid is a very much subpar and doesn't exactly explain the trials, tribulations, and real measurements that you need to hit to make the playoffs to really make an impact. So with that, we're going to move over to the parallelogram. Here we go. We are here. Playoff Parallelogram is back. We have changed stuff up a little bit. You're going to see that when we get straight to it. First thing I'm going to get with is Home Alone. So this is going to be teams that are going to be spending that time, like it says, Home Alone. Teams like the Arizona Cardinals, I don't really know what they're doing. The fact that they pulled out a win might have screwed themselves. I think there's going to be a few more teams kind of fighting themselves to the bottom in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. But Arizona is obviously the one that everyone believes is openly tanking. So same thing with the Colts. Colts aren't actively tanking, though. Richardson looks great, already in concussion protocol, though, so that's a little worrisome. Offense looked half decent. They still need a number 1 wide receiver, so I think they should make a move at some point. Seen a few floated out there, but until they do anything crazy or re-sign Jonathan Taylor, they are not even going to sniff the playoffs. That's why they're home alone. Same thing with the Bears. Bears have a young quarterback. For some reason, got DJ Moore and seems worse somehow. I'm a diehard Panthers fan, so obviously I wanted him to go to a place where he'd be able to succeed, and I thought that might be with Fields. I don't really think that's going to be Fields now. My Panthers, I put up 3 or 4 videos, so if you want to check them out, go check them out. We've got a bunch of problems, including not wanting to pay superstars, keeping a poor front office, not firing Scott Fitterer. There's a million and one things. On the field, though, we do not have the pieces in the wide receiver group. We do not have a stable offensive line with multiple people out, a lot of shiftiness there. So for that reason, we're done. If we win 4 games, that we'll be lucky, like I've said to plenty of my Carolina Panthers faithful. So for that, we're out. The Rams, I think that Stafford will be traded at some point. I'm not really sure for who, but I think Stafford will not finish the team playing as a starting quarterback for the Rams. Whether or not he gets hurt and goes out or whatever. Cooper Kupp is on IR. They're going to trade Cam Akers because Kyron is going to be the new running back. So if you're able to grab it in fantasy, do it. I just don't see them doing anything. Puka is a fantastic story, and shout out Rich Eisen for all of his amazing jokes. Got a few good ones on him, but yeah, I just don't see this being sustainable right now. The defense is about to fall off a cliff. They need to trade Donald while he still has a lot of worth, I would say. So for that reason, they're out. And then the Giants already saw, I said, everybody go find the video where I said Jalen Hyatt was going to be wide receiver 1 or 2 by the end of the year. Man was number 1 in that Arizona comeback. Jalen Hyatt is that dude, and they need to put him on the field every play. He needs to be wide receiver 2 right now, because I guarantee that man finishes with 1,000+ yards and 10 touchdowns. They're not doing anything well. Saquon is now out for the Thursday game against the Niners, so they're going to get destroyed. So the Giants are done. Same thing, Texans, though. Texans have some great ones. Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Oh, my God, Dameon Pierce. I like Stroud. I think Stroud is going to make a bigger jump this year than we've seen Fields do, and I think that he's going to put Fields in the dust and say, man, this is the Ohio State quarterback that might actually work. With that being said, they're not going to get anywhere close to the playoffs, but I want to really see him progress because I've already kind of started to see the seeds starting to sow. So with that, we started to do something a little different. So as time is going to go on with this playoff parallelogram, teams are going to start moving around. And like with this one, got all these teams that are wild card or bust. They're going to make it in, but if they do, they're like squeaking in last second. Chargers have a fantastic roster, but they're 0-2. Myco 0-3. I don't know what's going on with that. Browns just lost Nick Chubb, which again, gruesome injury. If you're going to watch the injury, please don't have any children around. It's pretty rough. But they just didn't look like a good team. I think Amari Cooper will be traded as well at some point because that team is just not going to succeed. They're hoping on their defense to carry them, and with the way Watson was skipping balls, I'm out on the Browns. I thought they could win maybe 7-8 games. 7's probably the high end. Jets, loss of Rodgers, obviously very much felt. Zach Wilson is not the solution. If anybody from the Jets organization is out there listening, please go get Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston can deliver the ball where you need it to. He's not going to throw the game away. I understand that people are going to go to the 30 interception things, but things have changed in that system with Wilson and everybody, Sauce on the defense. Like, he wouldn't need to do a lot, but could accomplish a lot and is actually proven in this league. So for that reason, I think that they should just go out and get that done. Zach Wilson's not it. He's done. This is it. He's not going to succeed anywhere. He's a crappier version of Trey Lance, essentially, but that's just me. Falcons are winning. So people are like, oh, why are they here? Because it's not sustainable, I don't believe. I like Algier and Bijan. Wide receiver core leaves a lot to be desired. Kyle Pitts has kind of disappeared. Drake London had that terrible one target, no catch game to start. So the Falcons have to win in a very specific way. And while I think they're going to feast off of their division, mainly my Panthers, as well as I think they're going to take one from the Saints, and they'll probably take one from the Bucks. So yeah, they've got some stuff, great pieces to grow. It's just not their year. Same thing with the Broncos. Broncos look terrible. Broncos should trade Russell Wilson. I'm not sure to who, and whether or not you're going to go get injured Kyler Murray and then tank the rest of the year. That's fine. Leave him on IR and just let him heal up for next year, and then play your backup. But I don't know. Broncos are a weird one. Peyton's not going to solve it. I think this is going to be a big blemish on his record if he can't make them really, really competitive within the next year or a year and a half, 2 years. Titans are very Derrick Henry dependent. I love Traylon Burks. Ryan Tannehill is not it. Will Levis is not it. Malik Willis, I thought, could be a good bridge until you got a more permanent quarterback, but it just looks like you got 3 guys in the building that can't do it. So for that reason, I'm out on the Titans, especially with the loss of Lewan. That line gets a little bit shakier. So, and then the Raiders. Patriots, actually. Raiders, I think, should just go to Aiden O'Connell and trade Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo could go for a bunch of money to a bunch of different teams, including the Jets, including the Bucks, including at this point, you might even trade him to a place like the Vikings. Because rumor is that they might shop Jay Jettas if he's not going to accept their like ridiculous contract. So that could be an interesting one. And then finally, the Patriots. Patriots defense looks real good. Offense stepped up. I do believe they need a wide receiver 1, but unless they go out there and do some crazy deal, I don't see that getting done. I like their running back room. I like the line. I just can't not trust in Bill Belichick. So for that, he's going to remain in here until they go 0-3. If they go 0-3, then they're out. But it's going to be real interesting this year, especially for what happens to Mac Jones moving forward. So it's a crazy one. And again, these ones can fluctuate. You're going to see these teams move about. If you check the last parallelogram, some teams have moved up and down. So for this one, we're going to move this. And now the reason why I have this separated is the ones on the left are teams that are much closer to the wild card or bust, or like kind of in the middle. And then obviously on the right, closer to being contenders. When it comes to the cup of coffee ones, I think they'll be there, or they might be in the playoffs. But they're not going to really do anything. And if they do, they're going to pop, win a game, and then they're gone. Those teams would be the Lions. I do not think the Lions are sustainable right now. And obviously that could change in the next few games. I just don't. Running back's already hurt. Amon-Ra's already had some injury concerns. So you're going to have to rely on your wide receiver 2, 3, and 4, and your running back 2, 3, and 4. Now I understand your running back 2 is Jahmyr Gibbs, but so far we haven't really seen him go crazy. So until that happens, you're not really in it yet. Commanders, what a win. What a crazy win. Again, I also don't think that's sustainable. Amazing running back room. I went big on Brian Robinson and Dotson this year. I think they're both going to help you out quite a bit, but you're limited by Sam Howell. Now, I could see you guys getting a top pick next year and going for another UNC quarterback in Drake May. So that could be something interesting too. A whole different storyline of the Commanders getting another UNC quarterback. But yeah, I need to see you guys do more, especially with this next game, which again we'll get to all that. Tampa Bay didn't expect this from Baker. I mean, I think I could say that for everybody. I didn't expect this, but great offensive assets, amazing opportunities ahead, especially with that terrible division. You could absolutely run it. But it's going to be real interesting how the defense holds up over time because they looked and played amazingly. And again, as long as Baker can keep the ball safe, I think they could be in and win a lot of games this year. If you would have taken the over before the year started, you're sitting real pretty right now. So, yeah, there's that. I'm going to go to the Vikings, and then we're going to get to that last team that I'm kind of avoiding. The Minnesota Vikings, I think, are a quarterback away from doing something more than just winning a game in the playoffs. I think that they should trade. Either if you're going to trade Cousins, then you need to go get somebody that's going to be sustainable long term with Justin Jefferson. If you get a now quarterback, I still don't think that you have it because I don't think Alexander Madison in that running back room is going to be able to carry you through wins, which is what he's going to have to do. Now, don't get me wrong. In my main paid fantasy league, which just in case you don't know, Row Coverage does 50 fantasy leagues every year. This one, I actually got the first pick, got Justin Jefferson, and then traded him for Kelsey and the Baltimore defense because I had picked up Jordan Addison. And I believe in Jordan Addison, so I could absolutely see them trading. I did a crazy one where they did a trade with the Jets and basically traded Jay Jettas and Cousins to the Jets for what was it? I've done a few. It was like picks. You could even throw in Quinn Williams on the defensive side. You know, you can get something going, but yeah, I think they're just missing something, and I think that something is more consistent quarterback. Either that, or they're just going to have to dump off the running game for the most part and just really go into Kirk Cousins throwing 40+ times a game and really feeding Jay Jettas and Addison, because I think that could really turn out crazy, especially with Osborne there. But then we get to the Bengals. Bengals are a tough one for me. I wanted to believe in Joe Burrow, but if you listen to any of my stuff before the year started, I told everybody not to. Now, obviously, I understand that sounds counterproductive, but I think that calf injury truly is a problem for him. I said that going into the year. I said that there was going to be an issue with the wide receiver core, and obviously we're seeing that T. Higgins is most likely going to be moved either before the trade deadline or immediately into the offseason. Especially with the having of paying Burrow, getting the biggest quarterback contract, that's going to have you lose some pieces. I just don't think this is the year. I think this is the year where the Bengals again might make the playoffs. But at the same time, where somebody's like, oh, well, his playoff window's open forever. I think that this is one of those years where you can clearly see that he's not going to be that always in the playoffs quarterback. He's going to miss it once or twice. And this is going to be probably one of those years. So for that reason, I have the Bengals there. Now, I see the Bengals coming out and really turning it around. Yeah, but when they're talking about sitting your quarterback at least another 2 or 3 weeks, that's not a good sign. But now we're going to get to the ones that I think are a little bit closer, but still missing some crucial piece. I'm going to go real quick. Chiefs. Chiefs are missing a wide receiver threat. I feel like that Patrick Mahomes can't be asked to do absolutely everything, and obviously the run game needs to get picked up to be able to drain a little bit more of the clock. Defense was all right. Chris Jones was good. Again, and everybody can use a better corner, so I think a good opportunity to upgrade would be there. But right now, I think they're really limited by that receiving core. Really, 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 really limited. So unless they go out and get a major acquisition here soon, I could see them again making the playoffs, of course. getting in, winning a game, maybe two, and then just getting smoked by somebody. So watch out for that. Same thing with the Eagles. I feel like they are really leaning into this running thing. This is going to be Kelsey's last year, I think, or Kels, his last year. And if it's not, he'll have at most one more. I feel like the injuries are going to pile up for the Eagles. This is going to be one where they're really good, really consistent, but there's going to be somebody that knocks them out. Some weird team that kind of goes there. And yeah, the Eagles are doing the opposite of what this next team is doing, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville seems to be throwing the ball a lot more. I guess ETN was hurt a little bit, so they didn't really play Tank Bigsby. So I think that they're leaning into Zay and Calvin Ridley. Good Lord, why am I blanking on their wide receivers right now? Christian Kirk, all those guys. So I think that's real interesting. Defense is obviously still having some issues, and Trevor Lawrence is having some turnover problems still. Hopefully that can be solved here soon. But for that reason, Jacksonville's, I think, again, in the playoffs, but not really competitive like that. And this is the same thing, the Bills. The Bills are playing themselves out of games with Josh Allen. He needs to stop being himself, which is really hard to ask. Especially in this league where he has been so successful, been in MVP conversations with his play. I just think that his turnovers are going to continue to rear their ugly head until eventually they either tell him you cut him down or we trade you or something like that. I could absolutely see the Bills making some blockbuster trade to flip for somebody like a Herbert or a Burrow or something like that, of really like a crazy trade between two massive teams and quarterbacks. So they're like, we just need something different, and then really making that happen. Packers, really surprising. Jordan Love looked really good. Run game obviously can do a little bit better. He was hitting some bombs, not really playing himself out of a game. So for that reason, Packers are in it. I'm right there. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers lover, not a Favre lover, not a Packers lover. I'm sorry. I'm one day I'll try. I'll try to be a Packers lover, but I didn't expect it from Love. I expect him to come out here and just Daniel Jones it up. But he's doing everything he can to prove me wrong, and I'm happy for you Packers fans. You might have gotten a third in a row. If that is, that's crazy because my Panthers can't even get one in a row. So, hey, but again, here's some of our rivals with the Saints now. I think the Saints really showed in that game that their defense can get it done. The offense is still a problem. I feel like Jamison Williams out, Kamara out, their running back room really suffering. They really need to pick up more. And to be honest, they need to get rid of J-Bo. Again, I would send him to the Jets. And you really need to go to Carr and Taysom Hill in the game like 60% or 70, 80% of the time. Because when you saw him come out, don't get me wrong, great runs. He ran really well, Taysom Hill. But if you were to have that man in the game more often, really actively playing tight end, really actively blocking and doing all that other stuff, a lot more plays on the two of them, I think that could be really dangerous. Especially because it could be something like he immediately throws it short behind the thing. Everybody rushes Taysom Hill. He passes it back to Carr, flea flicker out, and it's gone. I think there could be some really interesting dynamics there, so I hope the Saints really explore that. But overall, I was very happy with them. I did call for them to beat my Panthers, which wasn't a hard bet. So, Seahawks, Gino looked great. He's got those two weird grounding penalties, so I thought that was weird. Of course, it's Gino. I don't trust him in the postseason, but I think he'll make it there, especially with who they have at running back and wide receiver. Again, the defense is starting to build up. I said before the year started that I thought Seattle would have a top 10 defense, and I'm looking pretty good on that right now. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, amazing targets. Overall, this team can go as far as Gino can take them. Again, just don't play them out of games, and I think you can win quite a few playoff games there. Gino, good luck. And then finally, the Steelers. I am a big proponent of Kenny the Ticket Pickett. What I've been calling him. I think he is their ticket to the playoffs, but I think he needs more time. I think he needs better wide receivers. I think that when going into this season, like I said, George Pickens was their wide receiver one, and he's proven that. Deontay Johnson's been out. I think you should have traded him. I could see the Steelers really making some crazy trades here soon, flipping Johnson out of there, and really going out and getting some talent on that side. or on the outside. Now, the running back room, people are banging Najee Harris hard. They want his the running back 2, whose name is escaping me. I'm not even looking it up right now. God, it was Williams or something. Anyways, the running back 2, it might be the soon-to-be running back 1, which could obviously hurt a lot of Najee Harris owners in fantasy. Again, I will never pick fantasy over players. Players always matter more. I do think, though, that Najee is just being given the shit end of the stick. Excuse my French. He is in a great offensive potential, but right now they just can't seem to put it together, whether it be play calling or whatnot. If we got to get a different play caller in there, I would, before I would do anything like getting rid of Najee or even benching him. So yeah, I think there are some development time of Pickett away from really possibly winning a Super Bowl. So look out for that in the next few years. And then the final portion, which are my actual contenders, should have been easy. Baltimore Ravens. Oh my God. Sorry. It was the Dolphins. The Ravens, Dolphins, Cowboys, and 49ers. I'm going to say this is in reverse order personally. Baltimore, I feel like, is injuries away from being out of this and just being a cup of coffee. It's going to 100% depend on Lamar's health, on the health of Odell Beckham, and the defense. So they're in this right now, but I could obviously see them slipping out again due to injuries. It seems to be the Baltimore bug. I don't know what. But overall, I'm really excited for them. I would love to see the Ravens hoist a trophy. I love to see any of these teams hoist a trophy just for their fan bases alone. But same thing moving forwards. The Miami Dolphins are limited by injury. Obviously, everyone's going to say Tua, and I couldn't agree with you more. That's my 100% concern is Tua's health, concussion, all that other stuff. If they had a more competent backup, I would be happier with their chances long term. But it's literally going to depend on that. I think the Tyreek Hill trying to go for 2,000 yards seems a little selfish. I think that Waddle could actually get closer to 2,000 yards. Did Tyreek Hill if it's all played out right. But again, great running back room, great defense, especially when Ramsey comes back. I think this could be a real shot for you guys if people can stay healthy. But let's see what happens this week against the Patriots. Cowboys, your defense, good Lord. Defense might have Defensive Player of the Year in Micah Parsons. You add Gilly Locke. You add just some great pieces in the free agency. You pick up backup running back Deuce Vaughn, who I think is going to do really well, especially if Pollard gets hurt. Which, no offense, running backs the Cowboys always get hurt, so really watch out for that. I think you guys might be able to do it. It's been the ask of your faithful Cowboys fans that he just doesn't turn the ball over. Don't turn it over. Don't get us out of games. Hand the ball off when we need it to, and let's just get this dub and get the hell on out of here. He's doing that. And to be honest, as long as he doesn't go crazy, if he does 34 touchdowns, 6 picks, no fumbles, and they end up with like 13 wins, I could see him winning the MVP. Like, I could absolutely see that happen. Do I think it's possible? Nah. But I could see, it possibly happening. Or is it probable? No. Possible, yes. And then finally, the Niners. The Niners are same thing as all 4 of these teams. A healthy team away from a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy obviously needs to not break his goddamn arm or his elbow, whatever the hell he did. Yeah, they look real good. Obviously, I wish they had a little bit deeper of a wide receiver room. But I think that they have a great opportunity ahead of them. Defense looks amazing. Just overall, the 49ers are the most complete team so far. They're about to play the Giants with a Saquon Barkley-less team. So they're going to maul the shit out of them. So sorry about that. But yeah, this is it. And again, shout out to the people that I love. First things first, Brew, the GOAT, Kevin Wilds. And of course, get Nick Wright, or just Nick Wright if you talk to him on TV. Talking about the pyramid's the best way to judge people. No way. See this? This shows depth. If I really wanted to, we could be like people that are really out, and we can make this like a little plotted chart and really go crazy with it. But the idea that it's just a pyramid going to one eventual, like, yes, this eventually slims over on the side to where it says contenders, but that means there's got to be one or two people up there. The head of a pyramid is only one piece. One. That's the only thing. So when you put Patrick Mahomes on Mahomes' mound, you're saying there's nobody even close to him. He would beat everybody one-on-one. And don't get me wrong, I agree with that sentiment. But when we come to these teams, this is the best way to rank teams. I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe in anything else. It's the playoff parallelogram. And again, that started here with us at Roll Coverage. The playoff parallelogram is the future. And with that, I'm going to leave you with this amazing accomplishment. Week 2. Here in a second, we're going to jet on over. We're going to do a quick intermission, and then we're going to talk about these games coming up this week. I'm going to make my quick picks, and then we're going to get on out of here. See you in a second. Back to Roll Coverage, where we're going to pick the final games. I'm going to bring it over here. Let's move on to the next slide. We got some interesting ones. This is week 2. Great games that we had and everything like that. Some of them were just absolutely crazy. Watched almost all of them thanks to Red Zone. But we're going to get to week 3. We're going to pick these. Okay. Titans at Browns. First one. I think the loss of Nick Chubb is going to hurt the Browns quite a bit. I do not think that the guy that came in behind him is going to be able to have the same measurable effect on the defenses. So for that reason, I'm going to say this game is close. I'm not really the over-under is 3.5. Cleveland, they're given 3.5. I would take Titans plus 3.5 there. I think they're going to keep it close. I think that Watson doesn't really have it, and if they blow out the Titans, it's strictly because the Titans kept themselves out of the game by not being able to score. But I would take that plus 3.5 on the Titans. Falcons, Lions, Detroit giving 3.5. I think the Lions do win this game. I do not think it's as close, so I would take the Lions 3.5. Falcons have played well, but Ritter has been very minimized. I think the Lions are going to get out to a pretty early lead and then really force them to throw the ball, and that's going to be the death of them. So for that reason, I would take that. Going to be a real interesting one. I think it could be a high-scoring one. It could also be when both offenses just kick field goals the whole time. So for that reason, I'm going to take Detroit at 3.5. Saints-Packers. Saints are real interesting. Again, very anemic offense against my Panthers defense, which doesn't bode well for this game. For the Packers, they're giving 2. I would do the Packers giving 2. Just in case you can't see the lines, they are highlighted right there underneath all of them. So I would do the Green Bay giving 2. I think that they're good enough to beat the Saints. I could absolutely see the Saints winning, but that would require Thomas and Olave to really get the ball, and that's going to require Carr to not want to run. Obviously, with the injury with Williams and Kamara being out, I think that could bode well for that, but it's going to be real interesting. We're not even spending any time on this. The Miami Dolphins will be beating the Broncos. Whether or not it's by 6.5, I would probably say yes. Dolphins offense is ridiculous. Defense is going to be able to keep Russell Wilson out of the red zone. He's going to have to hope for a bomb touchdown, and that's it. So for that reason, Dolphins, I would take the money line. If you have to give 6.5 on that one, then I would. Chargers Vikings. This is a real interesting one. It's even, so it's take whoever you want. I would take the Chargers. Better offense, better defensive pieces. You do have good corners, but obviously they've had some, I'll say, blunders between preseason and now where they've left some guys wide open. So I'd obviously be worried about that with Addison and Jay Jettas out there. But for that reason, I would take the Chargers. I do believe that this is their only shot. If the Chargers lose this game, they're done. They're going to fire Staley, and it's going to be real bloody real quickly. So watch out for that on either side. Same thing with the Vikings. I could see the Vikings losing this game and being like, well, we're out of the playoffs, so goodbye, Kirk Cousins. Let's go get some picks. Let's go do whatever. Again, trade him to the Jets. That's just my opinion. But speaking of Jets at Patriots, real interesting. Patriots. Patriots have a potent offense. Defense is good, not great. I wouldn't say it's top 5. I'd probably say it's 12 or so. Jets, until they can get anything done on offense, I'm not going to trust them. The Patriots are giving 2.5. I would take it. I think they'll win by more than a field goal. I think Mac Jones will come out here and throw 2 to 3. He ends up throwing 4 touchdowns. It'd be crazy, but I think 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think they get some great time of possession, really keep the Jets on the sideline and keep that defense out there. So this way you can just keep draining them. Bills, Commanders. I swear, if the Commanders come out here and beat the Bills, I am going to sound the alarm. It's going to be beautiful. But again, the Bills should be able to do this. That 6.5 is a pretty large line. But the Bills have been smashing teams that they should smash, so I'd probably take the 6.5. It's just a weird year for that. If the Bills lose this, it's an absolute disaster. Same thing here. Jags are giving 9.5. Boy, I might take the Texans plus 9.5. Jags did not look good against the Chiefs. Now, obviously, it's the Chiefs, but I will take that into consideration. Nico, 13 for 226 and a tud. I mean, dude, if the Texans come in here and beat the Jaguars, man, it's going to be a rough night for Jags fans, especially for Trevor Lawrence, who, again, I believe and I agree is the prince who was promised. But, man, do not lose to the Texans. At least win by 1. I'll take that plus 9.5 on the Texans. Colts, Ravens. Both quarterbacks are questionable right now. So I don't think that bodes well for this game. I think it's going to be a real running battle. It's definitely not going to be throwing the ball everywhere. They're giving 7.5. Boy, if you can get like an alternate and get like 10.5 on the Colts, I would take that. I don't think that the Ravens really have the opening firepower to blast somebody by like 50. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people expect. But again, I don't like that 7.5. I don't like that. But regardless, if that's the one, you got any questions about it, I would just avoid it. I probably will. Just like I'm going to avoid this next game because I have a personal rule of don't ever bet on your own team. Seattle's up by 6, given 6. Wow. I could absolutely see them demolishing us. I've seen a few people on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, that are like, man, the next 3 games for the Panthers are rough. And, man, I'm going to pull it up real quick. It's not that bad. And if we end up, like I said, being 0-6, 0-5 in these games over here, I could see us doing something crazy. So, loss. I don't think we look at wins until we get to the Texans, Colts, Bears. And even by then, their problems might already be solved. So this is a hard L for me. I'm going to take the Seahawks money line if I do it. And then, not even watch the game because it's going to be bad. This one, Chiefs, Bears. Just take the Chiefs money line. They're giving 12.5. I'd probably take the plus 12.5 because watch this be the Bears game to actually get it real close. If the Bears beat the Chiefs, all hell's going to break loose. So you better watch out for that, especially because they'll have the same record at that point. Cowboys, Cardinals. Cowboys 3-0. Take that to the bank. That they're giving 12. Most teams don't get blown out by 12, but it is the Cardinals, so take that with a grain of salt. Again, I'll probably just take Dallas money line just to be safe. I'm really hoping this is not a trap game for the Cowboys because if it is, we're going to come on there and roast them as the quote-unquote boys. Steelers, again, have a quarterback problem. Again, I think it's just quarterback development. I don't think it's necessarily Kenny Pickett is bad. He just needs more time or another weapon on the outside. Pickens is great, but without Deontay Johnson, I feel like that's a big vacuum that needs to be filled ASAP. Obviously, there's some great ones out there that I wish you could get, but being in division, I don't think you're going to have the opportunity to get T. Higgins or Amari Cooper, which I think you could have gotten for dirt cheap if you were any other team outside division. So this one, Vegas is given 2.5. I'd probably take the Steelers plus 2.5. Eagles, Bucks. Eagles should win. if the Bucks beat the Eagles, what a barn burner this is. It's like college football. But I think they're just going to run the hell out of that ball, really keep it at Baker Mayfield's hand and give them the opportunity, and of course let big play Slay and everybody go crazy on the defense. And this final one, Rams Bengals. Now my long idea has been that the Rams are going to be the ones that secretly go and get Caleb Williams, and how they do that is suck the next few games, trade Stafford, trade Donald, trade as much assets as you can for this upcoming draft. And then basically hold on to Cooper Kupp and then go, hey, I'm going to give you Caleb Williams, all of these picks that I amassed from everything I traded with Cooper Kupp for Caleb Williams. And I guarantee someone's going to take it, especially because I think they can get multiple first or at least a first and a second for Donald. I think you could get a 2 for Stafford. To be honest, I think the Jets would give you a 1 if you called right now. So there's a few options there, but I think they will be the ones to eventually end up with him. Again, he's playing at USC. I haven't played for the Rams. He could pretty much stay in California. Again, I just don't believe in the Bengals. I could absolutely see Joe Burrow winning this, since he is 2.5-point favorite. If Burrow doesn't play, they lose by way more than 2.5. I say by a touchdown. If Joe Burrow plays and doesn't have that necessarily nagging injury to start, I think that they could win the game. For that reason, I'm going to take Rams plus 2.5, just because I'm not really sure right now. But regardless, that was the games for the week. Again, today is Wednesday, so we're going to get ready for the Giants-Niners game tomorrow and kind of get it going. So, yeah, this has been Nick. This is Roll Coverage. If you want to check out our videos, we're over on YouTube.